an intro.
Thank you.
Frog, it looks like it's just going to be me and you today. Bear's not even here.
Really? All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, Dotta's not here. I don't know where the hell Bear is. Of course, that's pretty typical for Bear. But yeah, I guess we can just wait for him to show up. If anybody else wants to come up and chat, please do. Other than that, we've got a lot to talk about today. And by the way, it's also apparently Jitsy's birthday today. No word on exactly how old he is, but we gave him the day off, and I think he is enjoying it. Yeah. Anyway, Frog, how's it going? What are you working on these days?
It's good. First off, like happy birthday, Jitsi. I don't know if you're in the audience, but anyway, I'm working on rigging 3D souls actually. So that's on the horizon.
Yeah, and in the team meeting yesterday, you said I think you said you were like 50% done.
Yeah, close to 50% done with the soul bodies. We're gonna be on track to get them by Halloween. So that's exciting.
That is super exciting. I also love how you just dropped the deadline.
Oh my god.
No, it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. The only reason I don't want to drop that deadline is because I didn't know if we'll make it, but you've made me very confident in that we can make it. I mean, it's not even October yet, and you're 50% done with the rigging, so I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Same here. Same here.
Awesome. Oh, it looks like Dotta's in here, just lurking about. Dotta, if you want to come up, it's just me and Frog today, apparently. I don't know where the hell Bear is. You know what? Let me. Oh, wait, there's Dotta. Dotta, are you with us?
What's up? Hello from Hell's Kitchen. There's a lot of honking and busy cityness. I'm in NYC right now. Hello.
All right. Awesome. Dotta, this was supposed to be the first Wizard Wednesday that you missed, but
Yeah.
It looks like the streak remains.
I'll just be here for a minute and I'll have to hop off. But hello, love you all.
Okay. Okay, yeah, we miss you, Dotta. Bear and I have been arguing nonstop.
Oh dear.
No, I'm just kidding. It's been fine. You having a good time on vacation?
It's great. I went in a submarine today. It was really amazing.
Like an actual submarine?
Yeah, they have one parked in the harbor and they let you go in. It's really, really fun.
Interesting. Did you see anything interesting underwater?
No.
What was it? Mostly just really cloudy.
Well, they don't let you see underwater. It was just like all the equipment and the nuclear missile silos, and you can lie in one of their beds. It seems kind of cramped.
And did they pilot the submarine with a video game controller?
They did not. No, it looked a bit more
Okay.
a bit more serious than that.
Okay, awesome. You didn't go like 4,000 feet down, did you?
No, we stayed above. We stayed above.
Okay,
It's
awesome.
pretty great. Yeah. So aliens are real. I don't know if you saw that news from Mexico this morning.
Oh, I saw it, and I have a lot to say about it. But what's your take on it?
I think, in all seriousness, the guy who supposedly released the bodies, apparently he's presented other human bodies as aliens before, so there's good reasons to be skeptical. But the DNA can still be analyzed, so that remains to be seen. I love how it looked exactly like E.T., right? Like that makes sense to me.
I gotta say, it is the fakest looking alien corpse I think I've ever seen, ever. Like, there's like a mummified mermaid floating around the internet, and I think it looks more real than this alien thing.
There's a Russian video of a dead alien in like a snowbank that looks better than this one, but it's the same shape head. You know, it makes sense to me that the ET head would be actually like part of the disclosure in the 80s, right? They're like just warming everybody up.
Yeah, okay. You're saying Steven Spielberg was actually inspired by a real alien?
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Locke is connecting. Locke, do you have any input on this alien?
I do have some input. I feel
Okay.
like I feel like we wouldn't know an alien's natural form outside of Earth. And so if an alien were to travel to Earth, it would take form and make possibly these different ways in order to even navigate Earth. I don't know that this would be like like a true alien, like that body is walking around like as the alien from space. Do you know what I mean? Like I think that it went through some sort of transformation in order to appear here on Earth.
Oh, interesting.
Apparently, it
Okay.
was like covered in diatomaceous earth, which like makes sense. It's like a slug when you get too much salt on it. I think they just like went into the diatomaceous earth and just sucked the moisture out of them, and they just died right there in the cave.
Frog, do you have any input on this alien?
I think they're real. So
You think that the one that the Mexican government is showing us is real, or just aliens in
There were
general are
eggs
probably
inside
real?
the X-ray.
absolutely, there's no reason for the Mexican government to lie to us.
That is a good point. I didn't think about that. Why would the government lie? Yeah, inarguable. Um, yeah, I got to say, to me, this little alien thing looks exactly like what a human with no or very limited artistic skills would make. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like Bear is here. Bear, if you want to come up and talk about aliens, just put in a request. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think to me this whole alien thing, this Mexican alien thing, it really made me think Kafka's Metamorphosis, except sort of in reverse. And I'll tell you why. Kafka's got this big overemphasis on rigid bureaucracy and how bureaucracy has lost touch with humanity and reality itself. And our institutions have such limited vision, and they're so captured by their formal procedures that it's to their detriment. And they can barely function. And so, for example, in the Metamorphosis, the protagonist becomes a gigantic cockroach, and when his employer learns this, the first question his employer has is, how will this affect your job performance, and will you be late for work? And so now we have something, to me, that I think is just as equally absurd, except it's the institution that's giving us this absurdist situation, this supposed 1,000-year-old alien mummy. And they're just casually passing it off as if like the default assumption is that everybody is going to accept its legitimacy. And I'm even seeing pundits all over the internet with like Anthony Pompliano tweeted, the Mexican government just unveiled alien skeletons, and almost nobody cares. Wild. And I'm just like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, because it's like nobody's accepting it's real because nobody believes it's real. To me, it's just so absurd that this bureaucracy is now giving us the giant cockroach. And it's just one more act in this like dark absurdist humor, this macabre theater that we see playing out daily on social media. Oh wait, Bearsnake is here. I'm sure he has a great take. But yeah, oh, Dota's gone too. Bear, you're here just in time.
Macabre, eh?
Yeah, Bear, please tell me you're not buying this Mexican alien.
There's nothing more real than a Mexican alien from Peru.
Yeah, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. I feel like I'm always the obnoxious skeptic when it comes to these things. But I can't help it. I'm sorry. I
I
just
think it's
can't.
real.
I
I'm
can't take it
just going to be
seriously.
honest. I think it's real.
But
Same.
you don't really think it's real. You don't really
What are
think
you
it's real. You're
talking?
just
No,
trying to be funny,
I'm
right?
not. Okay, maybe the aliens that were unveiled to the Mexican Congress or government are not real. I don't know. I can't comment at this moment. But I think in general, I mean, we've talked about it. Like, I think absolutely we're being visited. By whom? By what? I don't know. But I absolutely think that there is things not of this earth that are, coming and hanging out and checking on us.
Yeah, we have talked about this before. I think it's probably inconceivable that life beyond our planet does not exist somewhere in the universe.
But I'm
I
not
mean,
talking about that. I'm talking about, like, yes, it's inconceivable that life doesn't exist. I'm saying I think it's not inconceivable, but I think it's very likely that some of those things are visiting us.
Yeah, that I'm not so sure about.
Clearly.
Yeah, in fact, I would lean towards they have
So
not.
you telling me you don't like E.T., the extraterrestrial, the movie?
No, I love that movie because it's a movie and it treats this ridiculous idea like a fantasy, which
Oh
it
my
is.
god! I may have to put a warrior on the line here on this one.
Wait, you want to bet a warrior about aliens actually?
Yeah, I think I may have to do this.
How will we eventually?
Well, we
prove
need
this?
like a time period, right? Like by X date, it will be proven beyond any doubt. There's existence of like extraterrestrial life or whatever, and then I have to
Okay.
then give if I'm wrong by that date, I have to give you this character, this warrior, and then in the future when it's ultimately proved that it is real, then you have to send it back to me.
Okay. What's the date by which this proof needs to be
September 13th right now, 2023. I mean, can I get a year?
You can have a year. I'll give it a year.
All right,
yeah.
give me a year.
Lore Punk and Frog, do you guys want in on this bet?
Yeah.
I believe that that the Great Filter exists, and that it is somewhat unlikely that we have been visited, unless it was many billions of years ago before we were here, because the distances involved are so great. So I don't know who's on what side of that bet, but I'd be happy to bet a warrior that no.
Lore Punk, I'm gonna have to kick you off stage, but I'm not a co-host.
No, Lore Punk, I'm with you. It's it's just like purely it's a logistical problem.
Well, no,
Like,
you're assuming that they're traveling in a linear fashion the way we travel. What if? Yeah.
Yeah, give me an alternate mode of travel.
Well, this idea of dimensions that like sit parallel to us. I mean, again, I'm not a scientist, but I think this like general idea of like string theory, right, where there are all these like parallel universes or realities sitting right next to each other, right, but we can't interact with them. And I think this idea of being able to shoot between those layers, if that is like a construct that is true, then I think you're not necessarily having to go 5 times the speed of light to get over here, because totally the universe is expanding at such a rate that people talk about, even if there were like civilizations, they could never travel fast enough because we're moving apart too fast. I think that's what Lower Punk's maybe responding to.
Correct.
I would almost argue that faster than light travel seems more feasible than traveling between dimensions.
Okay, well, silence yourself. Frog, speak up.
Yeah,
Have you not seen Stranger Things?
Thank you, Frog. God.
Yeah.
It's truth.
I love it.
So, Frog, let's just be really literal about this. You're on Bear's side, not Elf's side.
I hate to say it, but yeah.
Embrace it, don't hate it.
Okay, but this Mexican alien, Lore Punk, what's your take on this particular Mexican alien mummy thing?
So I have been degenning for 48 hours basically on Friend Tech, and all I saw were a few memes, but I'm guessing there was like some desiccated thing that looked like it was from the planet of Dune, and I don't know anything about it, but just with my half-second look at the picture, it looks fake. But this is literally the most uninformed opinion I've ever had in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Obviously, we don't know for certain. We can't like test it ourselves, but just from looks only, from vibe only, looks fake as hell.
It's 1,000 years old. What do you think it's gonna look like? It's not gonna be shiny. All its biological matter is like it's basically a fossil, bro.
Dog, I'm talking about just like the anatomy alone. It's just so silly looking. It's like what a child would make out of Play-Doh.
But they have eggs inside. They have eggs inside.
It's so ridiculous. Oh man. Okay.
Frog, do you believe in alien eggs?
Yes.
Thank you, Frog. I rest
Frog,
my case.
I'm never letting you intro Wizard Wednesday again.
Frog, you're now a staple on this panel.
I'm here to stay. Sorry.
Awesome. Okay, well, yeah, we've got a lot of cult questions to get to, unless anybody has any more alien commentary. No?
No,
Okay.
alien commentary. I mean, we were gonna maybe like talk about our favorite alien memes?
I know. I think well, yeah. Tell us what yours was, Bear.
Mine was Cruciform. Posted a banger this morning where it was like a picture on the top of the two aliens in the boxes, and then on the bottom was like the pawn shop guys, and they were like, "I'll give you $25 for it." I thought that really killed me.
For real. Yeah. No, the memes are the best thing that the aliens have given us by far. They're not giving us super advanced technology, no insight into wormholes, but the memes, I'll take it. Great. Yeah. If there are any more awesome alien memes, please put them in the secret tower. I'm actually already seeing a bunch right now. And don't forget, there is an alien in the Runiverse who we rarely talk about, but aliens do intersect with the Runiverse. Maybe we'll talk about the lore of that some other day. But speaking of Runiverse lore, we actually have a lot of really fun lore questions from the Secret Tower today. But maybe before I get to those, let's talk about. Well, Tad Major has a question about the Words app. And it's a shame Dota left because this is mostly Dota's baby. But Bear, do you want to talk about the Words app? Bear, you're on mute.
Hey, yeah, I mean, I don't think we wanted to talk too much about it, but what I did want to say is, obviously anything that we build, whether it's like directly related to Forgotten Runes, I think we always want to try to make sure that we're sort of giving value to the community. So we're working out, when it does launch. I don't really want to go into a ton of detail. Like I said, like I want Dota to be able to come in here and this game was who are like every day on it. But we do want to give some kind of advantage in terms of like timing and signing up to the cult. So just keep an eye out. I think again, this is I see this as an experiment that with the Words app, regardless, is more of a directionally something that I think will could totally tie back to Wizards in terms of these progressive web apps. I know we've talked about it on the show, but there's a lot of really fun things you can do as a progressive web app outside of like the App Store ecosystem where they're taking 30% off the top and they don't support certain things. A lot of them don't even support blockchain or Web3, and so I think it's a cool way to explore how we take Web3 mobile in a way that is like easy for a lot of people just to sign up. Like I signed up my brother-in-law on Friend Tech, and he was like, "Oh wow, that was the easiest experience I've ever had, like interacting with the blockchain." So I think in general, directionally very excited. Words will be fun, experiment, and stoked to get it out.
Yeah, for sure. And Lorepunk was asking in the tower, so that it's not launched yet, right?
No, it's on a test net, working out some bugs, adding some additional features. I believe some of Dota's Friend Tech holders got to like get invite codes, but it's really just like testing. It's not live at all. And any words you see up there are more for fun and what we're like Magic Machine team and company are just sort of posting as we work through the bugs, but not launched. Hopefully, I would say launched very, very soon.
But we did launch the Twitter account, right? Like that's
Yes,
live?
we launched the Twitter account. We should probably copy it so you guys can check it out. But
Yeah.
we'll go into details of like why we think this is cool, how it was built, and where we think it can go.
Yep. Yeah. I just want to reiterate, it's really just a big experiment. Dota's been learning a lot by doing it, and I think we're definitely getting into some insight into things we can build in the future for the Runiverse. Just PWAs in general, like people have been talking about crypto and mobile for a long time, and this just feels like the next major iteration of crypto on mobile. So yeah, Magic Machine is always down to experiment as we build out the Runiverse. Okay, and then actually we have another like personal question from Pleasures. And Pleasures just simply wants to know, do you sleep well? um, I sleep okay. I think I get maybe 6 to 7 hours. I think it's funny. The older I get, the less sleep I think I need. What about you, Bear?
Yeah, I think I'm sleeping less than I ever have.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's hard to turn the brain off. Um, but yeah, I would say 6-ish hours a night makes sense. I tried not to go under 6 because once you're like getting like 5.5 hours of sleep, you just don't. For most people, you don't have enough fuel in the tank to like have a productive day.
Are you one of those who like basically wakes up with sunrise?
As I get older, no, but yeah, I am a pretty deep sleeper. Like most of the time I close my eyes and then I like open them and it's the sun's coming up, which is pretty great.
Yeah. Frog, what about you? Do you get a lot of sleep?
Unfortunately, no. But I think there's like a positive to that, where like I think around the 5 to 6 mark is where I find myself most creative. If I
Yeah.
get that much sleep, if I get too much, I feel groggy. If I get too little, then I'm like sleepy. So
Lore poets are known to not get a lot of sleep. Is that true for you?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you look at my Twitter, you see the hours that I keep. They're shocking. When I started in the space, my sleep shifted a lot. So I wind up doing a lot of late nights, but that means that I can vibe with my friends in different time zones. But I try to get 7 or 8 hours a night, and below about 6, I'm a potato.
Nice, nice. Um, well, actually, Lord Punk, I'm glad you're up here because I have like a kind of a poetry question for you, and it's coming off of a question from Magus Wazir. And Magus Wazir is asking, what does magic taste like? And I heard this quote a long time ago, and I don't know if I just made this up or some poet actually said this. Maybe you'll know, but the quote I'm talking about is, "You don't know what life tastes like until you've eaten while crying." Does that sound familiar to you,
It does
or did I
sound
just make that
familiar
up?
to me, and it's definitely a poetry sound to it. A
Hmm.
lot of poetry sort of evokes synesthesia, like, so you can say like Tuesday is green or whatever. You've got these
Right.
associations, and if you tasted wild crying or whatever, and it's like there's kind of a tension there because tears do have a taste, and if you're crying a lot, you're running, your sinuses are going, and there is a taste there, but there's also that metaphor. So I'm looking it up, and I'm going to see what it is.
Yeah, I tried to ask ChatGPT if they'd heard this, and they couldn't place it. So I don't know. I don't know where I got that, but that's what it made me think of was you don't know what life tastes like until you've eaten while crying.
Yeah, well, if I find it, I will post in the secret tower. But yeah, what does magic taste like? Electricity, fear, elation. It depends what kind of
Right.
magic you're casting. I think that
Ye-
old doctors, in the pre microscope and petri dish culture era, the sense of smell and even taste was a huge part of how they figured out what was wrong. So I would think in the Runiverse, the senses of smell and taste are going to be really important to figuring out what's going right or wrong with your spells.
Matto just found it. Thank you, Matto. It's by Goat, and it's the quote is, "If you've never eaten while crying, you don't know what life tastes like." That's so perfect. That's so perfect. Especially because he's another one of my favorite romantic writers. And that's actually a good segue into the next question. Um, Oz, you asked a question that I have spent probably, I don't know, 40 minutes just thinking about since you asked it, because there's so many implications for this question beyond just simply answering it. And so the question is, what are the common means of transportation in the Runiverse besides ponies? Are there airplanes, or is there a fuel scarcity? Man, this question is huge. I love it so much, and there's like 1,000 ways to answer it. So I'm gonna do my best to keep it brief. So I think one of the big methods of transportation in the Runiverse are trains. And it is so because I freaking love trains. Uh, I I even wanted to put a rail system in the Runiverse game. I remember in the very early days talking with Bisonic if we could put a train system in the game. And I think at the time they said it'll be a stretch goal. Who knows if it'll actually happen? But uh, but yeah, I wanted to put a train system in the game. I want to put a rail system over the existing map. I'm even writing my own Forgotten Runes story that takes place on a train. A long time ago, there were requests for like Magic Machine to do more stories, and we still want to do that, definitely. And the first one that I started working on was a story about a train. Um, my favorite rail system of all time is, of course, the Orient Express. I'm just really obsessed with all the mythologies around it, and its place in history and culture, and just what it meant to connect the East and the West at that time. There's just so much romance around it all, and it took place during the Romantic era. Um, so yeah, there's definitely trains in the Runiverse, and yeah, there's other forms of modern vehicles, even cars. I think Goblin Town probably has a lot of ridiculous cars. In the trailer, we saw a high tech police helicopter, but we also saw an old wooden ship. And it was very deliberate to include these two things in the trailer. But the really important thing to note here is how people of the Runiverse deal with this modern machinery like cars and helicopters. I can tell you that I doubt you will see a sprawling interstate highway system or just massive dead zone parking lots in very many places of the Runiverse. And why? It's because there's a tension between magic and technology that is pervasive across the whole world. And so, since the Industrial Revolution, in our world, all of our machines are made by machines. Modern machinery puts efficiency and utility first, and so with a car, for example, a car is designed with smooth curves and lines in its build because this helps it be more aerodynamic, which improves the fuel efficiency. And rarely do they deviate from that look because it works against the utility. Boxy cars do get made, but they get really bad fuel efficiency. um, but in the Runiverse, we see a lot of these old world modes of transportation and technologies throughout. We see devices and appliances and machines and carriages and boats, and they're all still made with these old, quote, inefficient methods, and they're often even made by hand. Um, and so they're very connected to the humans who make them. So why do they still do this? It's because they're optimizing for aesthetics and not utility. what the magic users in the Runiverse have learned is that aesthetics increase their magic abilities. This gives them powers and advantages beyond mere utility. And so this is an entirely new consideration that affects all manufactured items, devices, machines, and infrastructure in the Runiverse. Magic is a thing that heavily relies on a person's psychological reaction to it. It's like artwork. It's a force of the mind and of emotions and of dreams. And so, speaking of the Romantic artists, this is something that they explored voraciously, notably in the era when the Orient Express debuted. Um, they were reacting to the Enlightenment thinkers before them, who were much more rational, who approached the world with much more logic and reason. And many would argue, as did the Romanticists, that it's the fantasies of the imagination, of the mind, of emotions and dreams of humanity that are far more powerful than the cold scientific physics that govern the natural laws of the universe. And so when you construct your devices and your infrastructure with this aesthetic magic, you get a very interesting world that is full of tension. Um, and it's worth noting in our world that the Industrial Revolution was a major factor that brought an end to the Romantic era. I could go on and on about craftsmen like William Morris and other artists of the time who uh, rebelled against the Industrial Revolution and tried to bring more handmade objects into the world. But this is why I loved your question, Oz, because I could talk endlessly about this. I was even talking to Derek the other day about the forces of tech and magic. Which are really just proxies for order and chaos that govern the Runiverse, and how like every character and every culture in the Runiverse are just on this spectrum of order and chaos. So yeah, anyway, long story short, in the Runiverse, you can optimize for cold hard utility, which is where you get high-tech police helicopters, or you can optimize for magic and aesthetics, which is where you get these large, beautiful wooden ships. And there's reasons to do both. So I hope that answers your question. Feckless is asking, are are the dinosaurs in the Warrior collection regular sized, or is there some?
Don't ruin my hope of having many dinosaurs.
um, or he says, or is there some Spy Kids 2 floppery going on? Also, where did the clubs come from? I've never seen Spy Kids 2. Have you seen it?
I've seen it, but it's been a long time. I'm not the biggest fan, I'll be honest.
Okay, yeah. I don't understand the Spy Kids reference, Feckless, but I'll try to answer your question. So yeah, as far as dinosaurs are concerned, yeah, Bear, don't worry. There's many dinosaurs for sure. The whole take on dinosaurs in the Runiverse is it could be summed up like this. Just imagine like the alchemist version of Jurassic Park. I think dinosaurs exist in the Runiverse purely through alchemy and other magical ways. Other magical sciences are the reason that dinosaurs exist here. What's fun about Jurassic Park is it's got all these ethical and cultural considerations and implications. So pit that against a world that also has magical beasts like chimeras and cockatrices, and you've got a really fun new take on Jurassic Park. But yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely like small dinosaurs, large dinosaurs, mini ones. Just whatever the alchemists can come up with, they exist.
No, there's only small ones.
Okay, fair enough. Bear
I
says
just decided. What was that? By the way, that reminds me. This is a bit of a tangent. Do you remember the movie in? I think it was the mid or late '80s, about a kid who finds an actual dinosaur. It was like a live action movie, and it was like a baby brontosaurus.
Yeah, I think it was called Baby, right?
I think you're right. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, that movie was so awesome.
I love that movie.
I barely remember it, but I could be wrong. I think it's based on a cryptid.
Yeah, Baby, Secret of the Lost Legend, 1985. Yeah.
Yeah, it's based on, I think it's called Mokele Labemba, which is a cryptid in Central Africa where people think that they've seen like dinosaurs, and they look a lot like I guess like the Brontosaurus or whatever. Um, but yeah,
Sorry, that was a
that is
tangent, but that's another reason to have tiny dinosaurs.
no,
Or to,
totally,
yeah.
absolutely. Frog or Lorpunk, do you guys remember that movie?
Unfortunately, I haven't seen it.
That is unfortunate.
I think I do. I also am on the side of tiny dinosaurs very much. Tiny
Finally, we
and
agree on something.
maybe up to about the size of like a cow, so you could have rideable dinosaurs, dinosaurs running a plow, dinosaurs, seeing eye dinosaurs and stuff like that, but most of them are little.
Yes. Yes, yes. I love it. Yeah, super fun. Yeah, I mean, I think another really fun question for the Runiverse is do dinosaurs have any connection to dragons? We haven't talked much about dragons in the Runiverse, and I've certainly got a lot of lore cooking up about dragons, what their role is, where they come from. But what is their relation to dinosaurs, if any at all?
I have a strong take. I don't know why, but there's something inside of me that is very adamant about dragons and dinosaurs having nothing to do with each other.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I mean,
Like it makes me angry.
wait, what makes you angry? You're on mute. Bear, I want to know what makes you angry about dragons and dinosaurs.
I agree with him there as well. Dinosaurs are animals, dragons are sapient beings. Like, the way that I think of it is dinosaurs could not vote, but dragons could.
Oh,
Dragons are people.
I actually appreciate that delineation. That actually makes sense. Bear, your take. What makes you angry?
Oh yeah, I'm rugged there. It was the aliens. You mean why does it make me angry that people try to lump them in the same thing?
You were just saying it makes you angry, and then you
Oh
dropped
yeah,
off.
I think it's because I can't really explain it. It's unexplainable, but I think it has something to do with the fact that I just really identify dragons as like a fantasy thing,
Yep.
and I see dinosaurs as like this step in the evolution of life on planet Earth, and I think they like inherently like conflict in my head.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, well, I think like dinosaur fossils were used as proof by the ancients to justify the existence of dragons. Cosmic, if you have some commentary on this, please come up if you want. Our resident biologist. Um, and Matto is sharing one of the most epic warrior dinosaur gifts of all time. Which is one of the warrior with the flamethrower on a
That's
triceratops.
good.
It's so badass. It's like the best piece of dinosaur Runiverse art I think I've seen to date. Um, okay, and then actually Snoop Dogg has another really long question, a really great question, which I think I could say a lot about. So Snoop Dogg is asking if you have gold as a form of currency in the Runiverse, how does magic interact with gold to stop people from using magic to create an infinite amount of it? Um, if not gold as a currency, what is? Man, I wish I had a lot of time to write formulate like a real in-depth response to this. But Bear, anyone else? Do you have like an immediate response to that?
I'm having such a hard time hearing today. There's something going on. What was the response to? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just asking if you had a response to that.
What? But I'm asking what that is. I'm sorry.
Oh, you didn't even hear the
No.
question. Okay, well, before we get to that, Cosmic, dinosaurs and dragons. Hot take?
Okay, I have a lot to say about this. So
Okay.
basically, like from a paleontology perspective, there were so many, the hotbed of feathered dinosaurs, which look very much like dragons because they're like little dinosaurs that have wings and feathers on them, like proto feathers. The hotbed of that is in China, and China has some of the richest like dragon legends of all. And so basically what they think is that the origin of the legends and the fantasy lore came from like a real thing, which is these fossils that were found literally everywhere in China. And still to this day, the majority of feathered dinosaur fossils have been found in China. And so there's kind of this like intimate connection there where that's actually where we think that the stories came from. And then when, you know, there was all of this like crossing over between Europe and Asia, that people in Europe actually heard about the dragons and then developed their own lore and their own legends. And so those feathered dinosaurs are the ancestors of modern day birds, which is why it's very near and dear to my heart.
Hollow
Because
bones.
yeah, well, birds are dinosaurs. They like from an evolutionary perspective, they are modern dinosaurs. So in biology, we talk about non-avian dinosaurs, which are the typical ones that we think of that went extinct, and then avian dinosaurs, which still exist today, which are modern day birds. So that's my lecture. Thank you for
That
coming to
was
my TED
good.
Talk.
That was good.
That is fascinating. I'm asking ChatGPT who has the oldest dragon myths. It's definitely putting Chinese dragon myth on that list. It says ancient Sumeria from Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia has a very old dragon myth. But yeah, it looks like China and Mesopotamia are the oldest dragon myths. So Cosmic, do you know if there are any dragon fossils in ancient Mesopotamia?
I'm sure there are because there's feathered dinosaur fossils all over the world. They're just like there's such a proliferation of them in China that that's where like people would just find them like the way that we find in the United States we find like little shells and stuff. People would
Mm-hmm.
find feathered dinosaurs like that easily in China because they have such an extensive cave system and they're just like full of these fossils. So most like really famous like feathered dinosaur paleontologists come from China.
Interesting.
Yeah, so sorry, Bear, but I disagree with you. I think that dragons and dinosaurs are very, very connected.
Yes. Everybody is welcome to come up and disagree with Bear at any moment.
No, this makes a ton of sense. I mean, this gives it makes complete logical sense that, you know, before we could really reconstruct how muscles grew and what skeletons, like what kind of actual like physical bodies could be supported by the skeletons found, they like invented what they thought that, you know, they saw these big reptiles and they have these feathers and so they translated that into like this fictional being which they.
Well, it's the same thing with the Cyclops. Like if you look at like the skeleton of like a dwarf elephant, it looks like there's this huge hole in the front of its forehead,
Oh,
and it looks
yeah.
like a giant. But
Wow.
that hole where they thought was an eye hole is actually the hole for the trunk, the proboscis. So that was where the legend of like the Cyclops came from because there were these dwarf elephant fossils that they found in Europe. So there's all kinds of connections between like actual like paleontology and fossils and our like lore and fantasy worlds.
Cosmic Mexican alien, true or false?
There's like 0 chance that those things are
Oh,
real.
come on! Kick her off! Kick her off!
But they're so funny. Like I can't even.
They are so funny. But seriously, Cosmic, like could you even like stretch some sort of biological paleontological justification for this Mexican alien mummy?
Well, I think the fact that they came from Peru says a lot, especially because they came from the Nazca region. Like that region, I've actually been there in Peru, and it's like famous for its mummies. So it's not unheard of that they could have mummified some kind of creature and that maybe they've dated it and it is 1,000 years old or whatever.
Okay.
Maybe it's the remains of some like animal that they mummified or something like that. But like
Right.
the fact that they put it in that like proto-human form, to me, like that's a very typical like I don't know, all like the Moche civilization and a lot of those civilizations in Peru, like they would do artwork that looked like that. And so I feel like it may have some sort of like archaeological basis, but it's definitely not an alien.
Well, I'll tell you this: when the alien overlords come over to us and start enslaving us, I think I'm gonna throw y'all under the bus immediately because I was believing from the beginning.
Wait, but also, Bear, I just wanted to point out, if you want like a pet-sized dinosaur, there's birds.
No.
Yes, dude, they are dinosaurs, and they're like small.
Well, if I would, what are the top 3 birds you would recommend having as pets?
Oh, I would say 0 because like I think birds should be free and they shouldn't be pets at all. But like in terms of what I think would be cool to like have in my house, I would definitely say a crow.
That's not creepy. A macaw.
Okay, like some kind of a parrot, and then I think it would be cool to have a hummingbird.
Oh, that is cool.
Like a little like fairy like flying around my house would be kind of cool.
I want to have a big vulture.
Ooh. Okay, well, there's your dinosaur.
I really liked your alien take. Lorepunk, what's up?
So the best birds to keep are actually domesticated birds. So if you've got a yard, you can have some chickens if it's okay for you to do that in your city. Ducks also. There's farm bred ducks, runner ducks that don't fly, and they are fun and adorable. And if you have chickens or if you have ducks and you watch them for like 5 minutes, you will know in the deep marrow of your bones that they are dinosaurs because they are vicious.
Yes. Frog.
Wow, I love that.
Are ducks dinosaurs?
Ducks are dinosaurs, but I just want to say I think bear is only capable of taking care of a Furby.
Whoa!
I think that counts as a bird.
Yeah. Cosmic, is a Furby a bird?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't even think I could take care of a Furby.
What color Furby would you want?
I don't know, bright orange. Remind me of the Puppet Man.
Matto, you've been patiently waiting. Do you have?
We're coming. We're unwinding without Dotta. This is we're off the reservation here.
Matto, please tell me you don't buy this Mexican alien.
Well, no, that's actually just a picture of one of our senators. I don't know how they got there, but I think they just got lost in Mexico or something. And they're like, oh, hey, we found an alien. They should bring us back. Like,
for real. Is it Lich McConnell or is it Diane Frankenstein?
No, but I think very seriously, I think what are the chances that like even on our own planet we have so much biodiversity in so many ways within just our tree of evolution that like biology has like morphed, and it's like what are the chances that life form from galaxies across decided, hey, the best way to evolve would be bipedal and with hips and legs and like pretty much humanoid structure. Whereas, but I know earlier somebody mentioned the idea of like them like kind of like shape shifting or morphing to like the form that would be best suited. I think that's a pretty interesting concept. Like like maybe like they did their homework beforehand and they're like, hey, we have to modify our body to be more like this if we want to survive on the Earth atmosphere or gravity, because like it's not going to cut it over there. Their gravity is like 5 times less than ours or something.
Right.
So, who knows? That could be a cool idea. That sounds like a great concept. That maybe that's not their actual form. They just transformed into it.
Like you said, Matto, there's such a huge diversity of life on Earth. Like the fact that we would ever assume that an alien would take a humanoid form is just like the height of hubris, in my opinion. Why would it? There's literally like millions of species on Earth, and there's so few that have the characteristics that we like associate with humans and aliens. It doesn't really pass the common sense test.
Yeah, for me, it comes off as very like egotistical, like as humans, like, oh, we're the greatest, like almost like, like, well, if there's intelligent life, it has to be like us, right? Because like we are the most intelligent life, so it has to be something like us if it's intelligent. Like,
I think you guys are definitely right, except Star Trek did tackle this question. There was like a mother race that looked like us, and they went throughout the galaxy
Yeah.
planting these genetic seeds on planets throughout the galaxy, and so that's why all the aliens in Star Trek have sort of a humanoid shape to them.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, there's God, yeah, I was gonna say just like the concept of like meteorites kind of like acting as if like interplanetary seeds, because like fungi, for instance, like you could have like fungi spores, and they can like travel to space so long as they're not like exposed too prolonged to like ultraviolet radiation or anything. But like there's certain fungi spores that can travel to space. So like hypothetically, if like you were a species or like a race that's like our planet is dying, but like we can somehow like have our genetic information just kind of float out into space and hopefully land somewhere that's hospitable, that our species can grow again. Like that's a cool concept too. That's like pretty much like after infinite amount of time and infinite amount of travel, maybe these meteorites they have genetic information on them, crash land, and
Yep.
then life sprouts when it's like, oh, this planet just happens to be hospitable, and all the other ones, it doesn't matter if they dies everywhere else. It's like kind of like dandelion seeds. Like it doesn't matter if most of the seeds don't make it, as long as some of them do, the species can continue.
Well, there's actually water bears that are sitting on, or tardigrades, like those
Yeah,
super
tardigrades.
survivors. They're
Mhm.
actually sitting on Mars, or not Mars, the moon right now. So
Yeah.
like there was this accident where they had like tried to send those out and they were going to bring them back, but then it kind of like I don't know the full story of the news of what happened, but they're basically sitting there and they're probably in a state of suspended animation where they will stay until we bring them back to Earth. But like presumably they could still be alive after coming back. But they're just like sitting there. They got like ejected somehow from the spacecraft, and like there's life on the moon right now.
Somehow they did it on purpose. They know. Now we bide our time and wait for the humans to go extinct.
Aren't octopuses supposed to be from another planet? Like their genetic. Cosmic says no. Tell
Yeah,
me
well,
No.
there's like such little crossover in their DNA. They talk about.
It's not that little.
It's more like their branch of evolution completely took a different turn of how like their nervous system, instead of it being kind of like top down, their nervous system is like bottom up. Where so it's like it's almost as if like they took like a mirrored version of like how they evolved physically to us. But like there is like a common ancestor that we have. It's just pretty far out there.
There's this theory that thousands of years from now, octopuses are going to come to land and people will die off, and then you'll have these like land tree dwelling octopuses. That's kind of scary.
Bear, I think you just made that up on the spot.
No. Cosmic, you've heard that.
Nope.
What? Maybe I did make it up. God, am I just living in my own lie?
Do your kids play Splatoon?
Do they what?
There's a Nintendo game that's literally that premise. It's called Splatoon. It's like post-apocalyptic. After humans died off, the cephalopods come onto Earth and they just become the dominant species. And they just have like paint gun wars with each other. That's how they spend their days.
See, that now we know that game was predicting the future.
So octopuses are not actually Cthulhu's children. They're of this planet.
Yeah, speaking of that, I think my favorite interpretation in media of like an extraterrestrial life form comes from the movie what is it? It's not Another. What is it?
Annihilation.
No. It's the movie with the linguist who goes and like talks with the aliens and like learns their languages. Arrival. Yeah, I knew it started with an A. That movie had my favorite interpretation of extraterrestrials, and they were like this kind of like mixed between like this Cthulhu kind of like like octopus looking thing, but they had like a unique form. Like each tentacle had like its own like kind of like hand in a sense, and like its own like appendages. It was really cool. I think that like that form, that's kind of like really out there and like really flowy. I feel like Alien, like they wouldn't look anything like what we expect them, but I would expect them like even humans. Like if you ever like kind of like consider how weird humans look, we're kind of like have like all these like weird kind of like dangly things and stuff. We just like accept it as like just how we are. So like I feel like an alien has to be like dangly things feels like it's like the form that's kind of like prevalent even throughout like animal kingdom, just kind of these dangling appendages things. So more the better. The freakier, the more danglier, the more alien like you like to be.
Yeah, no, that movie, I think of all like alien movies, did probably the best job of imagining an alien life form so beyond what the human imagination could design.
Right.
It truly felt like otherworldly. Lorepunk, what's up?
So that is an amazing movie indeed. It's based on a story. It's a novella called "The Story of Your Life" by Ted Chiang, and it is 100% awesome sauce. And it really goes into the philosophical questions that are just easier to deal with in a book than a movie. Another cool book, if you're interested in this kind of parallel or different approach to evolution, is Children of Time. I think the author's name is Adrian Tchaikovsky, but it's an alien planet where civilization and sapience and technological tool use is not a bunch of primates. It's evolved in a race of jumping spiders. And it is absolutely, absolutely wonderful if you like these questions. The other thing is that I was reading something where AI can maybe help us talk to dolphins. And I wonder if people think, we can talk to dolphins with AI, octopus, crows, ravens, great parrots, whatever. And if so, if that's doable, do you think AI will allow us to speak to aliens with entirely different brains?
That is fascinating. Finally breaking this species communication barrier with AI. Man, I would love to talk to a dolphin. Cosmic, what up?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say about like portrayals of aliens. Like my favorite one was there was an episode of Love, Death and Robots that was called The Swarm. I didn't necessarily love the episode, but it was really cool in the way that they portrayed these aliens as like kind of having a hive mind. A little bit similar to like Ender's Game, and there was like a queen at the center, and it was like just the way that they depicted them was just completely non-humanoid at all, and even just their social structure was kind of eusocial, like the way that some insects are. And so I thought that that was really cool, like innovative way to think about aliens in like a non-traditional way.
That's the way they portrayed them in Starship Troopers, actually. Very bug-like, insect-like.
Classic film.
Classic.
Frog, have you seen the episode Cosmic was talking about?
Yeah, it was one of my favorite ones from that season. It's really good.
Yeah, that series, Love, Death, and Robots, is so good.
Yeah, it's really just an animated treat, you don't see very much stuff like that.
Netflix should do more experimental information, don't you think, Bear?
You mean animation?
Or just animation in general?
Animation in general, yeah. Well, there's crazier things that have happened. One thing when it comes to animation and Web3, I was on this panel yesterday, not to take a tangent, but I was on this panel yesterday with a bunch of different storytelling projects and this really cool company that we're talking to tomorrow, Story Protocol. I was one of the people on the panel was this guy Cab, who is a founder of Dinosaurs. Have you guys seen that before?
Yes.
Really, really
beautiful project.
Yeah, the art is just unbelievable. Animation is so cute, so well done, and a lot of them are like ex VFX and ex like animators from big studios. And so it just made me it totally shows. Just made me think of like animation in the space, and I think they're on Solana. I don't have any, but I do. I really like them. I'm like hoping that more and more projects. I don't want to be the only one that's. I want. I wouldn't mind being first, but I don't want to. I certainly don't want to be the last of projects that are building IP in Web3 and bringing them to the small and big screen.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, Dinosaurs has a real professional edge to it. But I don't know much about them. So you met the guys behind that project?
Yeah, one of the co-founders of the company, and I might get it wrong, but his name's Cab. I think he's the lead animator. Really, really great guy. Awesome take. I think sees the same opportunity that we see. Again, I don't know a ton about the sort of what their project, the specifics about the project are, but I do know that they're doing like they're working the production angle on like a ton of like short form high end content, which I think is really interesting. You know, I think there's that whole debate. We ended up talking about it yesterday. Is like long form versus short form. What do both sides of the spectrum in terms of duration? What does that give you? You know, there's pros and cons to both. You know, building towards making a television show, it takes a long time, it's capital intensive, versus, you know, short form content and getting it out on socials. And I mean, I don't know what your take is, Elf, but mine is in general, and there's always going to be sort of outliers to the general rule. But I think the general rule for me is short form content is a really great way to like spread awareness of like whatever it is you're making, but it's a terrible place to make money. You have to just be at such a massive scale to make any kind of meaningful revenue. And then on the flip side with like TV and film, I just think, you know, if you have the ability and you can package something so that you can get it through and made, I think the potential, you know, is pretty bright when if you're trying to like build like a global IP or like massive awareness. But you also generate revenue because there's real monetization on that.
Right, right. Um, yeah. Well, damn, we're already out of time. That went really fast. I feel like we should let people up on stage more often to just to just chat.
We should be
Um,
finding more aliens more often.
yeah. I'm sure there will be another ridiculous alien story next week. It seems to be the trend nowadays.
I think one's going to plan to pop up in Chile next week, so we'll keep an eye out.
It sounds like you know something specific.
Nope, I don't know anything. Just sitting here.
Okay. Well, Bear, before we go, you said something fun about the comic the other day in a team meeting. Do you remember what it was?
I have no idea. I talk about the comic all the time.
Yeah, no, specifically, you said something like a comic store asked you, like, who are you guys and why is everybody ordering your comic?
Oh, yeah. So we went on pre-sales. I think that was last week. Was that last week?
I think so.
Oh my God, it feels like a month ago. That's scary. Anyway, so we launched pre-sales for the comic. I'm sure most of the people listening to the space are aware. And yeah, so basically people started to pre-order the comic. We don't really get all the aggregated numbers until we hit the FOC date, which stands for final order count. That doesn't happen until like a month before they go into like print, or a month before they go into store. So like you can assume we might know that kind of stuff at the end of October, but the system's hard to keep count. But point being is there's been a lot of really good feedback so far. I think, you know, the comic industry is sure it's huge in some regards, but it's very small in others. And so I think the advantage to that is, you know, it's a little bit, maybe a little bit easier to like make a splash. So yeah, we heard from some of the bigger comic book stores that, you know, like, wow, like this new comic is taking off, like what's going on with it, who are these people? And so Nalgene, myself, Nalgene, and Locke and Jitsi are all sort of working to sort of make sure we maximize that. And, you know, we're sending them posters and free stickers and all sorts of other like promotional stuff to make sure that they, you know, keep talking about it. But so far, so good. I feel very, very good about the start of it.
That's fantastic, and yeah, I just want to say thanks to everyone in the cult who put in an order for a comic. It's actually having an effect. So you guys you're really making a splash and just really helping this thing get off the ground, and that's huge. It's just huge.
Yeah, it's everything, and it helps these shops and these distributors really order more, right? And they see the excitement around it, and then they want to market it more, which then entails reaching people who don't even sort of know what Forgotten Runes is, and learning about it. And then if you want to go into the announcements on the Wizards Discord, I've updated a couple links. There were some questions about being in Canada and Australia and how to get it without paying crazy shipping costs. And so I've updated the announcement with links for people in Canada, for people in Australia. Most of Europe, you can call your local comic book store. You can always DM me. You can always DM Nalgene. You can put a support ticket in Discord. There's a bunch of ways to get in touch with us if there's the specific situations where maybe you're not falling into any territories and there's sort of crazy shipping costs. So we're here to help and make it happen. We can get the comics anywhere. Typically, the easiest way to handle it is whatever country you're in, is just call or email or visit your local comic book shop and ask them about the comic, and they should be able to order it. But if not, please hit us up. And yeah, it's quite exciting. We'll be in New York next month for New York Comic Con, and we may have a little get together. Still sort of working that out, but we'll be at Titan's booth with a bunch of signage. I think we're going to do a signing with Riley. So more on that to come soon.
Yeah, and just real quick, Jay-Z in the Secret Tower is asking, how did the comics impact the NFTs?
Wait, Jay-Z's in our Discord right now?
Jay-Z's in our Discord, yeah, and he's got a crypto dick butt as a PFP.
Figures. Typical Jay-Z.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of ways to answer this, Jay-Z, but like, it's, for one, it's just like good for the overall project and brand. It's the point is to just really increase awareness of the project and to get Forgotten Runes into the minds of the mainstream, of people who may not know even what an NFT is. And so just the farther our meme spreads, the better off we all are. Another way to answer it is a lot of the storyline in the comic intersects a lot with the storylines in the Book of Lore. The comic writer pulled a lot of content from the Book of Lore and put it into the comic. And so if you're one of the people whose content gets featured in the comic, you will get a royalty from that. We're still working on the legal and the paperwork on exactly how to distribute that. There's a lot of just obnoxious bureaucratic regulation that we have to wade through. Unfortunately, it's not as simple as just like airdropping it into your wallet. But that is definitely something we have been working on. Bear, I don't know if you want to say anything about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the underpinning of this entire project, is this idea where we build out a proper piece of entertainment IP, and there's games and there's comic books and there's TV shows and all of those things hopefully sort of have like are sustainable business in themselves outside of the digital characters and the collectibles. And that vortex of awareness just elevates the entire brand. It elevates the collectibles. It's, again, it goes back to this idea of, could you own Obi-Wan Kenobi? Could you own Darth Vader? Could you own Spider-Man? Could you have ownership of a character that exists within this franchise? And so I think that's what we want to work towards. And then the rails of ownership versus, and the contributing to the idea of like a decentralized world building project, getting compensated for that, I think is an important part of how we sort of, how IP evolves in the face of like this legacy media concept where they get to own everything and they're just extracting value out of the fans. We really want to tilt that paradigm so it's like a horizontal and it's like everybody's benefiting.
Exactly. Matto.
Oh, I was gonna say like another portion of like how I hope that it comes out is that with extra exposure comes like more people are interested in the project, and they see that like stories that are featured in it, when they learn more about it, stories featured in it, if you build up enough, they can be featured in other works that Magic Machine puts out, or even just like in the broader universe of the story in general. And I feel like, it would be great if, like, it attracts more people who didn't know about the project before, or perhaps were interested in it, but just didn't even recognize that, like, NFT project can be more than just, like, monkey JPEGs or whatever, right? And like just kind of that exposure alone would bring more like creatives in to like, and like, want to build up their own characters or build up their own stories with the realization that, like, hey, like my story can be part of something bigger, and my story can be included in like the grander story of like this builds out more and stuff, and more, and as more people come in, just kind of like a feedback loop of like, attracting more creative people in there. So that's how I see it. Like, I feel like it's great exposure, not just in the sense of like getting the brand out there. It's like exposure in the sense of bringing more creatives into community, because they know that like their creations have a chance to actually get exposure and be integrated into a larger ecosystem, other than just, I think other projects, like, I'm not like dumping on other projects, granted, but just saying, like, like in sense of like, Pudgies, like you own the Pudgy, but like, and like, they have like the merchandise that they sell and such, but like you have to be like, you have to get like a Pudge just kind of like aesthetically pleasing and like marketable. Whereas like, like with Forgotten Ruins, it's more like you build out like the character, like if you make your character marketable rather than like you got lucky in buying something. Like it's helpful if you have like an aesthetic wizard, but you can make any wizard good with like a story, So I feel like that's a different branching off points of exposure. Whereas like, other NFT projects, they go for the exposure point as well, but I think ours integrates it a lot better because of how integrated we are with like storytelling and such.
1,000%. Yeah, you're not just doing fan art for Forgotten Runes. Your fan art is official art. But yeah,
Fan canon.
Fan canon. There you go. That's what I was looking for. Exactly. Okay, yeah. Anything else? We are just about out of time. Lore Punk, Cosmic Frog. Anything else?
Yeah, I have something very briefly. You probably can't say anything more, but you guys said something really fast about 15 minutes ago that my ears picked up. You're having a conversation with Story Protocol. That's awesome. That is a great connection to make, because Story Protocol is amazing. Anything you would like to say, that's great. I'm assuming you probably can't.
Bear.
Oh, well, yeah, no, I can talk about it. I've known them. We have a lot of sort of friends in common, if you will. And they're building, in a funny way. I'm talking to them tomorrow, like transparently, like, we met, and I actually asked for an introduction to them. So we're going to talk tomorrow for the first time. But I think at a high level, what they're doing is basically creating a platform or a tool set for that will help us potentially sort of like engage with our community, the cult, the way we're already planning to do, right? So they're building a tool set that maybe we don't have to build, or maybe we've built but theirs is better, or somewhere in between. So yeah, I think this idea of having a platform that like handles and lowers the barrier of entry for someone who owns a digital character or collectible to license their IP out. What does that mean? All the there's just a bunch of steps that take that you really have to like firm up, and not a lot of companies sort of have that internally. So for us, I think we're actually a perfect use case for someone like them, right? They need case studies of like native Web3 IP that is using their tool set. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, they seem really cool. Very smart guys. And I'm a big fan of Radish. One of the co-founders co-founded Radish, which was like an online text-based like story platform that I thought was, I think they sold a couple of years ago. But smart group of people. I'm rambling.
Jay-Z is asking, what is Story Protocol? Yeah, Jay-Z, it's like when I was saying a few minutes ago about how it's the annoying thing is navigating all the legal red tape about distributing royalties. This is something that Story Protocol could potentially help us with, but who knows? I mean, I think that's basically it, right, Bear?
Correct. Yeah. They just allow companies who are building IP to interact with their community in a more seamless manner, and allows them to interact.
Cool. Anything else from anybody?
I have one last question.
Sure.
There was a tweet thread actually, because somebody actually earlier was asking about binary star in the sales chat, and I noticed that tweet thread that Bear put out. He mentioned that there was an audio series in production. I actually have like that completely went over my radar. I have not heard about that. Can you actually give more details on it? I don't think I've heard about that.
Yeah,
before.
I don't think I can give more details about that, Matt. I'm sorry, but
Darn.
nice try. Swing and a miss.
All right, I thought I'd try. I'm interested in it, so I'll wait patiently for more information.
I mean, this kind of feels like an audio series, but no, but it would be something different.
And Snoop Dogg, I'm gonna punt your gold question to the next episode because it's a great question and I really want to dive into it. So we will talk about it next episode. Anything else?
Aliens are real. That's it.
Damn you, Frog!
Aliens are real. Aliens are real.
End it.
They have eggs. Aliens are real. Yeah, rug it. I'm not host. I would have just rugged it right now. Everybody get off. Aliens are real.
All right. Aliens are probably real, but the one that the Mexican government is showing us is literally made out of Play-Doh from a 4-year-old child. That's my take. And anyway, this has been Elf, Lorepunk, Bearsnake, Matatsuki,